Hey guys, Percussion Gamer here, and I'm here to give you my top 8 Silent Hill games in order, that being that there are only 8. The first game came out 13 years ago, a little bit over, and I freaking love the series. I love the horror, I love the storyline, I love the theme, I love all the music. It's a really great game series, and I'm here to give you what, in my opinion, is the games in order of their best qualities. So this will be, theme music, gameplay, and storyline, of course, all in terms of the best. And of course, every one of the games is on this list, no game left behind, but I will tell you exactly why it made its spot on the list and why it is my opinion that it belongs in that spot. And so without further ado, let's get right down to it. And number 8 on my list is Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the PS2, PSP, and the Wii. For one thing, this game came out during a generation, of Wii, 360, and PlayStation 3, as well as up-to-date PC, so it makes you wonder why they went with PS2, PSP, and Wii. I mean, Wii is next generation, but it doesn't have the graphical support that the other two consoles have, so it was kind of slow of them to take it back a step. And not only that, but the reimagining of the game didn't really suit my liking. It tried to reimagine the whole thing in a new way, which I thought was a cool idea, and I played the game probably 2 or 3 times and all the way through. But as much as I like the game, I like the classic storyline and the classic gameplay better than Harry, going traumatized through a car wreck and having to deal with the thought of his daughter being lost. And it just kind of wrecked the whole story. And I got that it wasn't canon or anything, but I still think that, maybe an actual remake of the game would have been better. So that's why this is at number 8 on my list. And at number 7 on my list is Silent Hill Origins for the PS2 and the PSP. I had this game for PSP, and it was, I believe it was the second Silent Hill game I've ever owned, and I love Travis and I love the storyline of this game. It has some of the coolest bosses, and I like that it maintains true to Silent Hill and everything, even though it got switched over to an American team as opposed to Team Silent. And the soundtrack, as always, is just freaking amazing, and I love this game, to be honest, but it's kind of hard doing a list of all the Silent Hill games in the order you want, so I just put this where I thought it belonged. In terms of story, it's good. The length could have been better. It was a pretty short game. Didn't take that long to complete, but I loved Travis's storyline, and I loved this game. At number 6 on this list is the newly released Silent Hill Downpour. Now this game came out 3 days ago from the time I'm recording this, and I beat it roughly 2 days after it came out, and it took me about 9.5 hours playtime, so it had a decent amount of playtime. And I was really excited to play a new Silent Hill, but to be completely honest, I was kind of disappointed in the way they presented it. There were very few cutscenes. The story took a really long time to finally go somewhere. It kind of gives you no direction as to where you need to go, so a lot of times it's a bunch of just running around town and trying, to maybe find a place to continue the plot, but it's really hard. The side quests are kind of cool, but they really didn't do much for me in general. And this game could have done a lot better, and it only had a mini boss and one true boss, that being the final boss. So it lacked a lot in terms of, going anywhere. And the only reason this is staying at number 6 on my list is because the game did have a pretty good story once it finally got figured out. The voice acting is really good, and I actually love Murphy as a character. I think he's a really cool guy, and as far as a game goes in general, it's a great game, but as compared to the other Silent Hills, it just doesn't meet the standards, so that's why it's number 6 on my list. And number 5 on my list of the best Silent Hill games is Silent Hill 4 The Room, released for PC, PS2, and Xbox. This game was one of the more critically acclaimed ones. It wasn't very popular. I'd guess it's more of an infamous Silent Hill title, and very few people can look past the repetitive and weird structure of this game to get to the storyline, but it has probably one of the top 3 best soundtracks out of any of the Silent Hill games I've played. And while I do think it could have been better, replaying 4 whole worlds that you've already been through completely is pretty bad, but it does stay true to the whole other world aspect of it. I mean, you go through a game once, or a map I mean, and you end up on the other world, a version of it later. So, you know, Silent Hill always did that. It just, this one did it more of a taking turns with each world and then going back to the other world instead of, you know, seamlessly going through it as you're playing the map, which I guess is kind of clunky, but this game was really good in my opinion in the fact that the storyline was fantastic. If you look past the, you know, the dull voice acting, I think Henry could have used a lot more emotion. You know, he just seemed bored with the whole thing. He didn't seem to care what happened. But the 21 Sacraments, I think that whole thing is just a really cool idea. And the taking care of your apartment things are, you know, weird, but the monsters stay true, and this game is a Silent Hill game, even though it originally wasn't meant to be, and that's why it actually maintained a number 5 spot on my list. At number 4 on my list is the game that started it all, the original Silent Hill for PlayStation 1. This game was freaking incredible at its time. When it came out, it scared the life out of people just because no one had ever seen a game try so hard to scare you. You know, Resident Evil made horror games popular with the jump out at you scares and the cheap little, you know, oh no, what's gonna happen? What's coming out at me again, you know, next? But this game actually left you with some kind of after effect. You know, you played the game, and when you were done, you were just kind of like, what just happened? Because this game it crossed the line as far as psychological horror went at the time. They didn't have anything even close to this good. And the otherworld parts are cool, the storyline is fantastic, and this is the game that introduced it all, so it really doesn't need much more explanation. So with that, let's move on to the rest of the list. At number 3 on my list is the one I'm prepared to be shot for, is Silent Hill Homecoming for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the PC. This game, although very underrated in my opinion, was disliked horribly among Silent Hill fans for its new combat system and just the overall new look of Silent Hill in general. But in my opinion, it was the smartest thing they could have done as an American team new to the game. You know, Team Silent handed them over. I loved this game. This was the first Silent Hill I really played, although I did play Silent Hill 3 before this. This was the first game I played all the way through. It was just an amazing game to me. I loved Alex and Josh's storyline. I just really liked how they brought the story together with his family and what happened to his brother. After all, it is the town's job to show the protagonist what he's doing wrong and what he needs to atone for, and in this case it was Alex's brother's death. And not only that, it has the, you know, the classic monsters, the bosses. It's just as crazy and psychotic as the other games, and it does everything a Silent Hill fan could need in a more modern and up-to-date way, and that is why it is so high up on my list. Alright, we might as well stop here. You all know that you guys are debating which one I picked, Silent Hill 2 or 3, both the game to show everybody to introduce them to the Silent Hill series. Well, I went with Silent Hill 2 as my number 2 spot. The reason why this wasn't number 1 was simply because I think the voice acting and the story and Heather's emotion in general in Silent Hill 3 was just phenomenal, and the fact that it picks up where Silent Hill 1 left off and it's, you know, one of the true canon games, well, I mean, they're all canon, but that actually go together and flow in the same storyline. Everything that Heather has to go through, including the death of Harry, our favorite protagonist from Silent Hill 1, is just mind-blowing, and they did a great job of, you know, introducing the monsters, the backstory, and everything that happened to Heather in that time. And now let's just go ahead and get back into Silent Hill 2, because, well, it does deserve its spot. Silent Hill 2 is probably the most popular of any of the Silent Hills. It is just iconic, and Pyramid Head is also a fan favorite. Everybody loves to point him out when they're pointing out the scariest parts of the game and what James goes through with Mary and finding out that she never, or when the player finds out that he actually killed her 3 years ago and that she didn't just die because she was sick. It blew most people's minds. I mean, how could you expect that? And the town punishes people for their sins, and once he realized what needed to be done, he let go of Mary, and depending on your ending, he let go of the past and moved on. Oh, and before I forget, this has the best soundtrack out of any of the Silent Hills. I was debating, but now I'm pretty sure there's no debating. I mean, the theme of Laura is quite possibly one of the best ones. Promise Free Prize, just everything about this game was amazing, and it deserves its spot at number 2. But you gotta love the soundtrack to this game. That is another thing that set this game out from lots of others. This was a true sequel to a game that started what was to be survival horror for the next decade or so. And finally, number 1, Silent Hill 3, the only one left on my list. The reason I picked Silent Hill 3 over Silent Hill 2 is because the story is just so deep. Heather is really easy to, you know, connect with just because she appears so laid back and weary of Doug, and she just seems like the typical teenage girl. But after everything she goes through and what the town puts her through and the hell that Claudia sits her through, it's amazing seeing how she climbs on top and realizes her true self as Cheryl. And it's amazing seeing how she gets to this point and everything that happens in the game. All the symbolism, that crazy part where Vincent says, you know, what if they're not monsters at all? It's just, this whole game just did everything it could to freak you out. And I remember walking into that closet or whatever with the giant window, and the whole room just starts bleeding and deforming, and your projection, your reflection in the mirror is just deforming and getting all screwed up, and then you can't leave the room until it starts attacking you. That part freaked me out, and this game just really did it for me. I couldn't even finish the game the first couple times I played through it because I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I couldn't do it. And this game did a great job of bringing the scares, the storyline, the great voice acting. Heather is just amazing, and I love this game. I love this whole series, and this is why it deserves number 1 on my list. It's just top notch. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you want me to do more, you know, let me know. Leave a comment, subscribe if you'd like to see more like this. Tell me what I should do better, what format I should use. Tell me anything, give me some advice, anything you want to tell me. Of course, feel free to debate, you know, the list. Tell me what your best games are. I'd love to hear it. And with that, I'm going to go. I'm Percussion Gamer. You can call me Bryce. And please subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you want. It would mean a lot to me. So thank you guys, and see you all later.